Hello everyone, this is Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. Today we are going to be covering open metaphysical questions. This is a series of questions that my students have, that we've collected from my clients, and that you have written on the Facebook of Metaspeak.com. The voice out of the ether there is my executive producer, Shawnee.
Hello.
And she has been collecting questions and comments from people. So open metaphysical questions is anything you want to know. It could be about vitamins. It could be about near-death experiences, which was our last program. It could be about astrology. It can be about UFOs. A couple of our students in our meditation group just had some UFO experiences recently that I might share with you, and anything at all that you possibly want to know. Now, Shawnee's got a list of some of the things that people have been asking about, so why don't we start with you?
Okay, so one of the things that I know you've said a lot over the years, which is very wise, is that evil always disguises itself in a form you will accept or in a form that you think you need.
Right.
So can you just touch on that, because there are a lot of landmines out there?
I was thinking the other day of, it makes me sad to think so many women think they have to get married to be validated. And they have to have the big wedding because they have to be celebrated. Well, big weddings are, for royalty and a very new concept. It used to be totally ordinary to go down and get married at City Hall, or get married by your priest or your rabbi with a few family members and go to dinner afterwards, and that was your wedding. The wedding industry is really way out of whack. But nevertheless, I'm not talking about the wedding industry today. I remembered years ago going to see my mother where she worked, and she was talking to some woman, and as I was approaching her, this woman's aura was shaking. I mean, like somebody was shaking her, and it was like a dark, brownish, bluish black, almost like a bruise. And Mother was being sarcastic. I won't deal with mother issues today. She was not a nice person. She said, well, ask her. She knows everything. So I said, oh, your daughter's going to marry the wrong man. She said, oh, my God, how do you know this? I was in high school. So I said, he's very mean. She happened to be a breathtakingly beautiful, natural blonde, gorgeous, gigantic blue eyes, her own eyelashes. Does that give a hint about me? Stunning girl who was in college making fabulous grades. She was going to do something with medicine, I think research, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. And she had a boyfriend who wanted to quit school, be the housewife. And the mother had said, don't give up your education for anyone. And if he loves you so much, he'll wait, or he'll marry you and you'll have a housekeeper because we can afford it. And have a life.
Okay, so he wanted her
to be his slave at home. He wasn't quitting school for himself.
Okay.
He was already out in the business world working. He wanted someone to be basically at home at his beck and call. This girl owned a little white poodle. I think I've told you the story before. A little white poodle. And they were going to some dinner or something, and they were running late, so she asked her boyfriend to take the dog for a walk. Oh, sure, I'll go out. So he's smiling and happy, and the dog hops out the door, and he's on the leash, and the mother is looking out the window when he kicks the dog. Now, this is before these little 1-pound poodles. These were like 5 and 6 and 7 and 8-pound poodles. I don't care if it's a 100-pound poodle. You don't kick people. You don't kick an animal. You don't kick a plant. And he kicked the dog, and and the mother yelled out the window, you kicked that dog again. She calls her husband at work. He says, I'll take care of that SOB. Guy gets in the house and says, you open your mouth to what, I don't know, remember what the girl's name was. You open your mouth to her. It'll be the last time you open your mouth. And it'll be the last time you threaten me. I'm going to do everything I can to see my daughter doesn't marry you. I said, you made the right move. And the husband came home around this time, so she told him everything that happened. The daughter came down. She looked around and said, what's going on? He says, nothing important. Come on, let's go. Out they went. She was afraid to tell the daughter. I said, you have to tell her, and I want you to tell her in front of the family doctor, because he has to tell her about women who get beaten up by their husbands. Now,
what year was this?
1814.
No,
I don't
really.
Really, the 1960s.
Okay.
And the battered women syndrome wasn't known about.
Right.
I mean, nobody gave it a term. Psychology was not that advanced. Abraham Lincoln had not said, psychology is great. So the mother said to me, I said, I get very bad feelings he's going to beat her brains in. And actually, he's going to smash her face. Some of these men are so disturbed. They want to marry something beautiful, but they really want to destroy it.
Women who love men who
hate
women.
Yeah, or men who hate women and women who love them.
Exactly.
And so, therefore, she tried to tell her daughter. Daughter wouldn't go to the family doctor. Daughter said everybody's making something out of nothing. Her mother didn't see the dog being kicked. I said, did he kick it hard enough to take it to the vet? Was my first question, actually, which I forgot. She said, no, I don't think so. I said, well, it's a little dog. It doesn't take a lot to rupture a rib. Anyway, married her, great wedding. Her mother and father get a call one night, and they just hear her moaning. Call an ambulance, call the police, go over there. Guy's covered in blood. Take her in the ambulance to the hospital. Dog's missing. And he gets arrested, released the next morning, because she refused to press charges. One of the reasons she refused to press charges is she couldn't speak. Her jaw was broken, her cheekbone was smashed in, her body was a bruised mess. Sadly, she went back to him. I think the third time he put her in the hospital, the police said to her, you go back. He's going to kill you, and we're not coming. They didn't know how else to get her attention. But for that to happen in those days, I mean, I was a kid. She was older than I was. I was a kid, but I knew this girl. It broke her spirit. She finally did get away from him. They had to get a restraining order. They paid off his family to keep him away. Restraining orders were very rare in those days. But if somebody is going to be abusive, you're going to be the target. Anybody who would mistreat an animal will mistreat a person. Now, there are some cases where they're kind to animals, but they don't like women. And there are women who abuse men. It's, 100 to 1 against it where the man abuses the woman. But nevertheless, there are women who are abusive. And so if anybody is abusive to anything or has a temper where they throw things around, you run the other way for your life. It is not normal to punch walls, to smash furniture, to smash anything, to hit anybody. You are a precious spark of the divine light. You should be treated as a special spark of the divine light. And if you are a person who has rage issues, maybe you were sexually abused as a child and you don't even remember it, get counseling. Because you do not have a right to take out your rage against anybody else. I just dropped my pen. What's your question?
Okay, so my question is, everything you just said is amazing, of course, and if anyone is...
It broke my heart to see that girl having looked breathtakingly beautiful. Like Elizabeth Taylor was breathtakingly beautiful. Angelina Jolie is breathtakingly beautiful. And what she looked like afterwards. And she was in a sanitarium for the longest time, and that's the last time I heard about her.
So sad. What about things that are more insidious?
Well, you could get a job. In fact, there was that Al Pacino movie called Devil, is it? Where this, I think it's Keanu Reeves, who's one of my favorite actors. I think he's really underrated. He's a really good actor. And he and his wife, I don't remember who played the female part, are given this job, which is super fabulous money, super fabulous perks, super fabulous office, fabulous people, couldn't be better. But ask a little favor here, Ask a little of that. He questions this a little bit, but no, it seems to be okay in the parameters of whatever the job description is. And then slowly but surely it creeps in. And Pacino, actually playing the devil, is making a pass at the wife. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want her husband to lose his dream job. Evil creeps in when you're not paying attention, and in a way that you think you need it, or in a form that seems to be acceptable to you. It could also be like kids who get started on drugs. Some schmucky kid comes along and says, oh, you haven't lived till you try this. Trust me, you have lived. Now you're dying. You try it, you're dead. Parents who don't reinforce this, and I think it's a lot of parents who grew up in the 60s and 70s where they thought drugs were okay, and now they're half nuts and they realize they're not okay. Or maybe they got Alzheimer's, early Alzheimer's, and they realize it's not okay. But the kids grew up in that drug culture, like kids grew up in the drinking culture. It is harmful. It's physically harmful. You get in a car and you kill somebody else, because rarely do you get killed. So you've murdered somebody. I think anybody who gets in a car and who's been drinking or drugging and they injure somebody goes to jail flat out, no discussion for 10 years. They kill them, life sentence, end of story. I don't care if they're college kids. I don't care if they're surgeons. I don't care if they're priests or rabbis. I don't care what they are. And in some countries, it's the death penalty. In Middle Eastern countries mostly, and that's one thing I agree with about that. You do not have the right to get in the car. And suppose it's your dream car. Now, the sad thing is, so many kids think they know how to drive, and when you're 16, you don't have the experience that you have when you're 40. There are so many things that happen to you in the car, with crazy people cutting you off and your car cutting out or whatever goes on. You don't have that experience. You know how to pull out of a problem when you're 16. And plus, the brain isn't fully formed. I think sometimes they never get fully formed, but it's not fully formed when you're 16, so you don't have the judgment. So you get the car of your dreams, which is a fast car. Your idiot parents got it for you. And you go out and kill someone. Well, you thought you needed that thing. And the universe said, okay, you want it, you're begging for it, you're making all kinds of promises, you'll do volunteer work, you'll do this, you'll do that. And you got it. And you really got it. The universe always tests you on your weak spots. You have to earn your way into heaven, or the heavens, or the higher realms. Earn your way out of needing a physical body, because we started out as thought form from the God process, the God light, the God being, the force, the field, the force field, whatever you want to call it. We started out there without a physical body, and the goal is to go back home again. You don't need a physical body, you can't take one. So you get tested on your weak spots. Maybe in several other lifetimes you were an alcoholic or a drug user. So some schmo is going to come along and say, try this pill. Farm parties where they throw a bunch of pills into a bowl and they think that's a good time. Haven't you heard of charades? Haven't you heard of mahjong? Haven't you heard of badminton? So therefore, marijuana, I'm sorry, all the people who think it's a great drug, it sucks just as badly as bourbon or scotch or whiskey or beer. It alters your brain function. It alters your body. You don't have complete control over yourself. It is terrible for you. And if I'm irritating marijuana people, if I'm irritating breweries, tough. I'm telling the truth. I'm not here to lie to you. I didn't come on this planet to lie. I came on this planet to teach you how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your family, how to take care of your surroundings, and the planet we are borrowing. I read something that Stephen Colbert said, by the way. People who think they want jobs because they're in coal mine areas and the coal mines are closed, move, or go to school, or get a scholarship, or go to the military and get your educational benefits. Don't say, I want a job working coal. Stephen Colbert had a quotation in a magazine we both read the other day, and he said the only way to create clean coal is by saying coal and then putting clean in front of it. Because if it comes out of the ground, it's dirty. Coal is filthy. And we have someone close to us whose family owned a coal mine, And with what, the 8th or 9th woman on the block got breast cancer, he sold it out to the big manufacturer and they moved. Sadly, his mom got breast cancer anyway because she had been exposed to the carcinogens in the water, like everybody else was on those blocks. Comes out of the ground, it's dirty. We have enough wind in this country, we have enough sun in this country, that solar should be everywhere. Even the Arctic has solar-powered panels. Even Alaska has solar-powered panels that are fabulous for 6 months out of the year. And they can store up voltaic energy for the rest of the time. So if you think you need a fabulous job, what is the cost? Not just to you, but to others. You don't live on this planet by yourself, nor has anybody given you permission to destroy it.
So it's good to have a fabulous job as long as it's the right one.
You don't want to be working for the mob.
Got it.
You don't want to be working for a crooked business person.
Right.
Because they're going to implicate you somehow. You don't even know you're being set up.
A fabulous job meaning a truly fabulous job.
Yeah, honestly fabulous job.
Right. Not
an
like,
honorable fabulous job.
Not an inflated fake
yes.
fake you out job.
They're always expression, if it seems too good to be true, it is.
It is, right. Let me, you just, we only have 2 minutes left in this segment, but you just said the goal is to go back home to God. So, what you mean is the goal is to go back to God in the right timing with the lessons learned.
You can't do it otherwise.
Well, I mean, hey, if I,
no free passes.
Yeah, if I decide to walk in front of a bus, I could be back with God.
Not necessarily, because if you purposely walked in front of the bus, you cut your life short. You cut the lessons short you were supposed to learn. You abused the privilege of having the body as a temple for your soul. And that is not considered wise. You're put in a gray zone.
Yeah.
And what happens is, generally, unless you were mentally disturbed, unless you were given medication that made you not capable of thinking properly, they understand that. But if you purposely say, life sucks and I'm going to jump off a bridge, and you do, you are kept in a gray zone. And then you're made to follow around in spirit form the life you would have led in physical form. And you see all the people who are grieving over you. You see the missed opportunities. You see the circumstances where people needed you and you weren't there because you killed yourself. It is considered a sin against the God force in all religions. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. There's a difference. Religions come and go with different societies. Spirituality is the universe. And if you stay with us, we'll be right back with more Metaphysically Speaking. This is Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking. You can pick us up on the radio station, or you can pick up us on Facebook or the World Wide Web. Type in Metaspeak, METASPEAK.com. And you can leave us your questions or your suggestions for show ideas. Anything you want to talk about. And we are talking about open metaphysical questions, which means anything you want to know. We were just talking about something I've always said, that evil cloaks itself in a manner you think you need or a form you think you'll accept. Whether it's a marriage or a job or a situation, anything that seems too good to be true, generally 90% of the time is. That's how so many people get caught up in these stock schemes. Because who makes 90% profit? Nobody. So therefore, I think we should act every day, and this is how I live my life, as if God and the angels are watching, because they are. And my producer has another question.
Yes. Recently you talked about guardian angels on the air. So I wanted to talk about that, and then I had another question.
Okay. Well, you were the person who wrote in. The guardian angels are...
I have a friend who wants to know about guardian angels.
Guardian angel, there are all types of angels throughout the angel kingdom. And by the way, there's no such thing as a fallen angel. That's a misunderstanding of people in the Middle East who are writing the Bible, the Quran, the people who were in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd century were trying to cram religion as opposed to spirituality, which is what Jesus' message was. By the way, did you see that they have part of a manuscript Jesus talking about his wife? Well, the Vatican, of course, denied it's the validity of its existence. Because what are they going to say? They've already tried to make Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost the way the universe gets created, and they're screwed because that's not the way it's created. They'd be very smart if they came out and said, yes, it's true, but we'll cover that at the Christmas show. Guardian angels can look over animals. They can watch out for nature. They could be in charge of a particular area where people frequent, like a park. Or they can be your particular individual guardian angel, and you can have more than one. If you have a very busy type of life, like say a doctor or a nurse, or you're a school teacher, and you've got all these kids you're in charge of all day long, you're going to have more than one guardian angel. And you're also going to have an Excedrin headache. So the guardian angels are there to absorb some of the negativity of what goes on. Whether it's the behavior of the children or other teachers or the principal or the kids' parents, whatever it is, you've got a huge responsibility. I have a huge responsibility as a counselor because, if a teacher gives you the wrong lesson for the night, you can read the right lesson the following night. If I give you the wrong information, you can make a big mistake in your life. So I know I've got more than one. I've been told by certain spiritual people that I have more than one. And the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned, because you can never have too many helpers. Guardians angels are assigned to you. Your first guardian angel, and probably the one that exists through all of your physical lifetimes and your astral lifetime, is assigned to you when you leave. I call, remember the God Force, the giant wad of chewing gum, and you have a question about something and it requires you to move out from the God Force and get the answer to it. And if you're really smart, you'll shut up and go back home again. But no. Millions of people were not smart and they kept asking more questions and needing more lifetimes to satisfy those questions by getting answers. So the guardian angel is assigned to you when you leave the original giant wad of chewing gum, the force, the light.
Even though you're constantly connected.
Even though some people call it the silver cord. I just use the analogy of is that your piece of the chewing gum when you stretch further and further and further and further and further and further and further away, but you're still connected. And as you get your questions answered and realize that everything is not satisfied in the physical world, you get whooshed right up there on that giant string of chewing gum, going closer and closer and back to the universal God Force. So some people think that's an irreverent comparison. I think it's fabulous, because it makes so much sense. And when you put things in a way that people can understand them, that's your job as a teacher. So your guardian angel is not to interfere with your free will. Your guardian angel can work with you in your sleep state. You don't have to have a near-death experience in your sleep state, but your guardian angel can say, look, stupid. Riding a bicycle on a busy street without a helmet and pants is really dumb. Because you're going to get killed.
Don't forget the pants.
Don't forget the pants. Walter on Fringe always forgets his pants. He's wandering out of the house in his underwear and his overcoat.
Oh, God, that's funny.
So therefore, you might as well get dressed properly and wear a helmet. If you wake up the next day and say, where's my helmet for my bicycle? And what do I do with that helmet? You may not realize that it's your guardian angel trying to whack you on the head to make you more safe. But it is your guardian angel. If you're driving along and you suddenly feel like you have to make a left turn or a right turn, make that left or right turn, because you could be avoiding a car accident another block away. I cannot tell you how many times that has happened to me. So your guardian angel tries to make sure that you don't get involved in anything you're not scheduled to get involved in. And that you do get a warning if you're on a dangerous pathway. And how many people have said, I'm thinking of a story I just saw recently where this guy felt he shouldn't go out hunting that day. And believe me, I do not like hunting. But he shouldn't go out hunting that day, and he was attacked by a bear. And he said, I should have listened to myself. Well, dummy, why didn't you? People forget, just because something is big, they think it has to be noisy. Bears have giant pads on their feet for a really good reason. They're quiet. So are mountain lions. They're wild. You're in their territory. So they are to warn you. They give you that whoopsie feeling when something is about to go wrong and you're not supposed to be there, or you're not supposed to pick something up. Years ago, there was a rattlesnake that I didn't realize, and I was going to bend down and pick up a weed. You know this story, right, where the air conditioning unit is outside, and I heard no, and I stopped bending over, and I pulled back, and a rattlesnake came right around the corner, would have bitten me right in the face because I'd have been bending down to pick up that weed. I had the hose in my hand, and I hosed it. It took off. I went in one direction. I went in the other direction. I was not supposed to get bitten in the face by a rattlesnake. So therefore, the universe assigns you guardian angels because it's like being alone in a city where you've never been, you don't speak the language, you don't know the people, you don't know how to get from one side of the street to the other, to be in a physical body. And the universe is merciful, and it makes sure that you have an angel to help you and protect you. Sometimes you will hear a voice, sometimes like somebody's yelling at you, like I heard that day. Sometimes you will hear a voice inside your head. Sometimes you'll have an overwhelming feeling. Sometimes you'll get a picture of something and you quickly do what you need to do. Guardian angel is there to help you. It will try to influence you away from negative people. It will try to influence you towards positive people. But you have free will, which I call God's curse on us, because so many people use their free will to do bad, to do cruelty, to do greed. And your guardian angel still tries to warn you away. Now, what will happen is the guardian angel will take a meeting with his boss or her boss. Actually, angels are neutral. They're androgynous. They're not male or female. Some of them may choose, so you understand them better, to appear to be female or appear to be male, but they're androgynous. That means they've never had to be humans, although some of them do take physical bodies, because you can relate to a physical body better. I think it's Guidepost that had the story of a young boy coming home from college driving, and it was a snowstorm, and his tire went flat, and this truck appeared out of nowhere, this tow truck. And the guy came out, he changed his tire, and he said, "How much do I owe you?" And he said, "No, let me give you something anyway." And he's digging around in his backpack, and he looks up, and the guy is gone. Not only is the guy gone, but there are no tire tracks. There's no truck. What do we think that was? It was an angel. So angels can take physical form, whether in human bodies or in pussycat bodies or puppy dog bodies, to give you a helping paw, a helping hand through a tragic part of your life. And so they never had to be humans, but they can take human form if necessary. So they take a meeting with their guardian angel boss. And the boss said, "Look, this person is being so self-destructive. They've not listened to anything. They haven't listened in the sleep state. They've not listened in any form. Just let them go. Stand back and let them use their free will, and the chips will fall where they may." And that's when people say, "Well, I didn't realize it and I was doing so bad." Yes, you did. And I feel like I've been abandoned. That's when you feel you've been abandoned, because your guardian angel has moved so far back, still watching you, but so far back that you really feel like you're alone. And times you feel like you're alone, and then suddenly you feel a warmth, or you don't feel like you're alone anymore. That's when the guardian angel has gotten closer. So they're with you forever. You can get temporary guardian angels. Say you're in a war situation. Guardian angels that specialize in helping people who are traumatized in war may join your guardian angel and stay with you as long as necessary. Say you're going to be teaching difficult children. Guardian angels that work with those children's guardian angels and with other teachers who need help, they'll step in and help you as long as you need it. So you will get the help you need always from your guardian angel. It's up to you to take the help and to listen. Okay, was that it on the guardian angels? Do you think we covered that question for that girl?
I think you covered that question. Definitely. So when a soul a soul doesn't die, but let's say a person dies.
Right. The body dies.
The body dies, thank you. They are not going to become an angel. No. Just want to clarify that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yogananda, who brought yoga to the United States back in the 20s and 30s, said, if we all turn into saints when we died, let's all just jump off a bridge. You don't turn into a saint. You're not with God. You don't turn into an angel. I've said this a million times, and my TV crew used to repeat it in the control booth. We could hear it out in the studio. A human soul is a human soul. A pussycat soul is a pussycat soul. A tree soul is a tree soul. A planet soul is a planet soul. You don't need to be somebody else because you're good enough. Pussycats don't need to transmute into human souls because I think pussycats are far smarter than we are anyway. Dogs don't need to transform into human souls because we are not better than they are. Different doesn't mean better. It means different. What a sad world this would be without dogs and cats. Snuggling up with us if you're in a bad mood, if you're in a good mood, making us feel loved. What a blessed gift is that?
I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Because a lot of people...
They do not turn into angels.
But it doesn't...
And we are not better than angels, and they're not better than us.
No, right.
We're different.
Right. So it doesn't mean that, like, we talk sometimes about how my parents are both in the astral plane because they both crossed over. They can come chime in and visit,
right.
Send you a thought vibration, show up as,
Show me what they're wearing.
Well, they show you that. They don't show me that because you're psychic and I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well, we're all psychic, but you're a natural psychic from birth. So I just wanted to clarify that because I don't want, like, if somebody says, every time I see a butterfly, I think of my mother who's crossed over.
And that can be a message from the spirit world.
Yeah.
It could be a message from your mother.
Yeah.
It could be a message from an angel who just visited with your mother and she's
right.
somewhere else for the moment and wants to send you a butterfly so that you think of her. Right. Different doesn't mean better or worse. Right. It's just different. Okay. If everybody was a baker, who'd make the clothes? Who'd be a doctor? Who'd be a teacher? We don't need bakers only. What if everything was just angels? We wouldn't have a physical world. Where would people learn their lessons? Where would they go to school? Different is not better. Okay. It's just different. We have different tasks.
Right. And there are angels, I know we'll talk more about this at the Christmas show, but there is a kingdom of angels.
Yes. And that doesn't mean the archangels are better than the angels. It means they have different responsibilities.
Like a mayor.
Like a mayor.
A mayor of the
or a governor.
Kingdom.
An archi is not better than. It has more responsibilities because it's closer to the thought of the God process. It's not better than an archangel. It's not better than a nature spirit. We need archi. We need nature spirits. We need bunny rabbits. We need canaries. We need plants. We need trees. We need these different things. And there are kingdoms of angels that watch out for these different species. No one's better than anybody else.
What was that great book you recommended? Behaving as if the God in all
life mattered.
That's a good book.
It is a wonderful book.
Now, we just have a couple of minutes left before we need to go to break, and we're going to talk about, I believe, Ganesha as another aspect of God. But while we have this moment or two, I know we have your recommended reading list on metaspeak.com on the World Wide Web, METASPEAK.
I have a couple of books I have to add.
Okay.
SPEAK, right. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. It's like so short for Metaphysically Speaking. Registered trademark, by the way.
Absolutely. Nobody else can use it.
This is online, on TV, on the radio, by the way, or in print.
Farm equipment, sneakers.
No, not quite that far. But, so what are some of your, just off the top of your head, recommended books? I know A Case for Reincarnation.
Yeah, it's hard to find that, but you can have your bookstore look it up, and many of them do carry, especially bookstores that carry used books. And you can contact the publisher, and they've always got books stored away somewhere in a warehouse. Okay. The Case for Reincarnation is probably one of the easiest books to understand. I think it's by Joe Fleischman. I've got it right up there on my library there. He explains everything very simply, gives you many stories about reincarnation, including children who are born and say to their parents, "You're not my real parents, I belong over there." And the family follows them through the jungles, through the woods, over the mountains and the dales, and they walk into the village and say, "That's where I live." And they say, "You're my mother, you're my father, and that's where I used to sleep, and these are the foods I used to eat." And in many times, the parents will share the child. They'll live a week over here, a week over there. Sometimes as the child gets older, they lose that need to live there, but they reincarnated too quickly. So they still have the stuck memory of being in the other village. So many stories. It's really an excellent book. who is the one who developed this? Moody, Dr. Moody, wonderful books on reincarnation. Deepak Chopra, anything that he's written is excellent on reincarnation and lifetimes. These are authors that are authors, quality people, walk the talk. Nobody's perfect. Apparently there's a new movie out about Deepak Chopra that his son produced and directed.
That's funny.
And he's being made a monk in a monastery. They're shaving his head. He's got his BlackBerry in his hand.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
So, yes, not everybody's perfect. And he's re-reviewing his life now to figure out what his problems are and perhaps his faults. But that is a man of a decent energy who has done a great deal to promote spirituality rather than religion.
I love that he let his son document that.
He let his son document it, and he was interviewed on a show, and he said, I can't believe I was doing these things. I'm embarrassed. But he has the humility.
Right.
So check our website, and we will be right back with you with more Metaphysically Speaking. This is Linda Bennett and Shawnee, her executive producer. Stay with us. And welcome back. This is Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking, for our third and final segment. And we just finished talking about angels, and one spirit is not better than the other spirit. Human spirits are not better than angel spirits. Angel spirits are not better than tree spirits. Tree spirits aren't better than pussycat spirits. And you had a question from somebody who wanted to know about Ganesha, the elephant god.
Yes.
And that is an aspect of God in Hinduism. And it's a man's body with an elephant head. And he usually has multiple arms, which doesn't mean he's a circus freak. It means that he's showing many religions that are older have symbolism. Everything doesn't have to be taken literally. It is symbolism. And in each of these hands, he's reaching out with food. He's reaching out with gold coin to give you prosperity. He's reaching out with a dorji, which is think of a lemniscate or a sideways 8. And it's a metal object that's used by Hindus and Buddhists for prayer. And he always has a rat with him. He usually has a garland of flowers around his neck. Elephant head, human body. And the rat is with him to show that he can bring you so many opportunities and so much prosperity that you will be willing to share some of your scraps with even a lowly rat. Because rats have their place on the planet as well. Not necessarily in your house, not necessarily in your basement, but they have a place to eat up garbage and to keep the place clean. So Ganesha is considered a very beneficent or happy, loving god. Years ago, what was it, back in the 90s, many different Hindu temples across the world, including Australia, the United States, Canada, Europe, had a manifestation of a miracle. Like Mary Mother has appeared over a Coptic church in Egypt and has appeared in Lourdes, has appeared, of course I can't think of it now, where the 3 little girls were, in Yugoslavia, and then Yugoslavia blew up. A million different little kingdoms now killing each other. She appears generally before there's some type of catastrophe to give you time to rethink your life. Ganesha is considered a happy aspect of God because he will bring you good opportunities. And he will also throw a roadblock in your way if you're heading down a mountain, top speed, on a motorbike. Because that's not a good idea. So maybe he'll give you a flat tire, go flying off, and land up in a tree.
But you'll still be okay.
But you'll be okay, but you'll be saying, oh, how can God let this happen to me? I was just enjoying my motorbike, and now I'm up in a tree. How am I going to get down? And instead of thinking, why am I here?
And thank you for letting me live.
Yeah. Oh, look down there. Look at that cliff. I didn't know the cliff was down there. I'd have gone right off that cliff and been smashed to a million pieces. Oh, rats, and I had a dinner engagement tonight. So he is known for throwing obstacles in your way when you're being stupid and for giving you opportunities and little blessings when you deserve it. When you've done something extra special kind, extra special thoughtful. And is he a man with an elephant head? Well, who knows? We got no way of knowing.
Is it important?
It's not important. Because all we know is that's an aspect of God's personality. not a different God. Jesus was not God any more than I'm not God, any more than my cat's not God, any more than my trees and flowers outside aren't God, but we're part of God. We're part of that giant wad of chewing gum. And just like we have billions and billions and billions of physical cells, we have more billions of astral cells and spiritual cells, why should God be any less complex? Why should God be any less complex than the amount of stars and planets we see in the sky? So different aspects of God. This is where Hinduism is very misunderstood. And Sikhs came because they said Hinduism is so complex, we're just going to focus on the one God aspect. They're still Hindus, but they focus on, they call it monotheistic, but it's the one God aspect because learning all about the different personalities is too complex. Well, some people think the opposite. They think about learning about the whole complex part of God is too much to learn. So they're going to learn about maybe Ganesha, who does kind things and is giving and loving and nurturing and loves children. Well, in these temples, somebody offered a spoon of milk and the milk disappeared.
It was like slurped up.
Gone. It happened in other temples, but then they caught some people trying to run a scam where they had a tube and some idiot was sucking on the tube underneath the table.
Oh,
that's nonsense. That's not a miracle.
That was in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s. And they had all of the different places that were actually verified. Nobody was under the table. There were no tubes. There were no gadgets where the statue absorbed the milk, which is materialistically impossible, but not spiritually impossible. Nothing is spiritually impossible. Why? Because every now and then, the God force, the giant wad of chewing gum, thinks things are really sucky down there and they need some kind of encouragement. The humans need to understand that there are more aspects of me than they've been exposed to, and they need to have some kind of physical manifestation because there are people who think if they don't see it with their own eyes, it doesn't really exist. Well, how arrogant is that? But nevertheless. So every now and then, like visions of Mary, like visions of Jesus, like a Buddha statue moving, Ganesha absorbed in certain cases and in places where the people needed the energy of his presence more, his presence as a manifestation of the God force, they had their miracles. It was reported on CNN, it was in Time magazine, it was everywhere around the world. All the newspapers covered it, and it was an amazing miracle. There are aspects of God that are happy, like Ganesha, and there are aspects of God like Kali. There is the creative, the preservation, and the destructive force of life, of the God force. Things get created, they maintain, they screw up, and so therefore they have to die off in the way they're existing, and they get reborn in a better way. It's the cycle of life. So Kali represents the destruction. Without the destruction, you can't have the rebirth. Just like in certain forests, there are certain types of pine trees that cannot sprout from their pine cones without heat. And after the fire, there were all these little seedlings around because it needed the fire to heat up the seed to pop out of the pine cone. So Kali is not bad. She's busy destroying evil. She's busy getting rid of the ugliness of the planet, which must be gotten rid of, or we'd all sink into this horrible abyss of yucky muck. I'm looking forward to her return because there's enough yucky muck on the planet right now. And it's not happy. She does it seemingly mercilessly, but quickly and efficiently, so the area can be cleaned and it can be reborn. So there are aspects of the creative, the preservation, and the destruction, and the recreative, rebirthing, maintaining, and the dying. Women were called maidens. Mary was never called a virgin. She was a maiden, which is a young girl up until about the age of 14, where she can be betrothed, like she was to Joseph. And then when she marries and gives birth, she is now a mother. So she's preserving and nurturing. and then she's older. And in those days, so many women married older men, the men died off before they did. So they became quiet and private, either into their village, their family. They specialized in the talent they ever had, whether it was weaving or herbs or doing special prayers for the community. And they were called crones, which was considered a pejorative term in many communities, but is not. It just means a stage of life. So God force has stages of existence and manifestation, so you can understand that cycle. Ganesha is not separate from God, is not a separate God. The Al-Qaeda, Taliban monsters who blew up those 2 Buddhist statues in Afghanistan will not be experiencing a happy afterlife, because they destroyed something that represents, Buddha represents calmness, compassion, patience, understanding, wise guidance. So does Avalokitesvara. Green Tara, who appeared with a green glow, represents healing on a physical and an emotional level. These are also aspects of the God force. You don't destroy aspects of the God force because they don't happen to be your particular aspects of the God force. You preserve goodness in whatever form it's in. And if you don't understand it, you leave it alone and you make proper inquiries. So somebody coming upon a statue or a artwork, I'm looking at a piece of artwork right now of Kali right behind you, and she's got arms all over the place because she's destroying what's evil. She's got skulls of evil people around her like she's wearing a Hawaiian lei. So they remember that they were evil and cruel and not to make those mistakes. And she's stepping on a demon and crushing him. And she's holding a skull of another demon. So she's showing protecting God's mission and protecting the goodness in the universe by destroying the evil, because somebody has to do it. So there are many Christians who think, oh no, that's a demon. That's why? Because she's not attractive? No, it has nothing to do with that. She is destroying the bad. She is destroying the things that are destroying the good. Someone has to do it. She does a really good job. We have to acknowledge that aspect of God, just like we have to acknowledge the happy Buddha existence of God. We have to acknowledge, say, Sarasvati, who is the aspect of wisdom and knowledge and education in Hindu culture. We have to acknowledge Mary Mother, as well as Mary Magdala, wife of Jesus, because they have their special missions. Marys represent the compassion and the kindness and the keeping together of a family group. Remember the wonderful expression, you go through life gathering about your family members, very few of whom are related to you by blood. So she represents hope. She represents continuing to follow the path of light. Both of the Marys do. Think of a sacrifice that family had to make. I can't wait to do the Christmas show again, because if people truly understood the mission of Jesus and Mary and Joseph, and those are not their real names. If you're Catholic and you've ever gone to Catholic church or Catholic school, Sister Mary Frances Kathleen, maybe she was born, I don't know, Carol. But she took the name of a saint. So did the nuns and the priests in Judaism in the old days. Mary comes from M-A-R-E, which is mare, which means sea. Life existed in the sea before it existed on the land. When you look at the sacrifices these souls have made by coming to the earth, even though they're aspects of God, it's a drag to be in a physical body. By coming to the earth and helping, first of all, their existence on the planet brings light and hope and joy and blesses wherever they live. Can stretch for miles. The actual existence of a special soul. And they go through the physical needing to go to the bathroom every day and having to bathe and having to eat and having to cook and having to sweep and having to clean and having to shop. It's aggravating. The sacrifice they make because they love humans so much and they want to serve the giant wad of chewing gum aspect of God because they have a personality aspect that people could be attracted to and therefore learn more about why they're on the planet. That's special. And Ganesha is a favorite of us because we happen to love his happiness and his joy, and we've been touched by some of his blessings. We've all been touched by aspects of God, and maybe without even realizing it. Maybe you're walking through a field and there's a rattlesnake or a copperhead waiting for you. Or there's an alligator that decides not, for some unknown reason, decides not to charge and eat you. Or you walk by, I had a friend, I think I've told this story before, who was a real estate broker in Connecticut. And she went to visit a famous author, Jack Douglas, and at his house. She was listing it. It was an open house. And she said, so everybody knew he had a wolf, which was chained up outside, which she had seen. And everybody knew he had a mountain lion. So she said, I've been here an hour. How come I haven't seen the mountain lion? He said, well, he's seen you. So Joanne said, what do you mean he's seen me? He says, look up. And she looked up, and there was the mountain lion on the rafter, swinging his arm and his tail drooping down, watching her. She almost fainted. So he says, look, if he wanted you, he'd have gotten you already, and there's nothing we could have done about it. I think his name was Baby. So we all have been touched by aspects of God, protecting us from a tricky situation, from a dangerous situation, from a harmful person, from a car accident, from whatever. We need to take a moment and say, thank you, God. And if you don't want to know about Buddha or Jesus or Ganesha or Mary, that's fine. God couldn't give a bunny rabbit's backside about that. God just wants you to know that you know what you are and who you are. And that we're on the planet to make things better. And we're on the planet to improve ourselves. We're on the planet to bring peace, not war. We're on the planet to bring bounty, not greed. I have zero respect for the wealthy people of the world who just keep buying more cars, more clothes, more planes, and don't do something to make the world better. And I don't mean tossing a check to some charity. I mean taking a hands-on approach to make things better. And that's what we try to do here at Metaphysically Speaking, and this is Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking. And if you just open up your hearts and minds to God's universal truths, you will know that God and the angels are always with you.